Oh, right. Happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there. Um, I went to a networking event and I'm like, shoot, I forgot it was Veterans Day. How could I forget? I was just talking to my son about it last night who served. Um, so that isn't happening. So my interview too, the owner of a company was sick, so we had to move the interview over. I have a million things I could do right now, but I'm actually going to take some time to process what I talked about today and last night about abortion. So my son, my oldest son, served in the Army. He is a vet. Very thankful for him today. I asked him if he wanted to go out for breakfast, but he ended up going to work today. So, um, you know, that's what he did today. So, like I said, I am a tough cookie. I've been through a million different things. Almost everything you can think of in life, I have been through, including having a son who didn't come back after boot camp. They lost his paperwork or something happened and he didn't come home right away. We had to wait like a whole year to see him. And most of the time I was cheerleading him in the military and he did a great job. My point to this is not to boast about anything of me, but to talk about how important it is to have your kids, guys. It doesn't matter as I start talking about the roots of my childhood and my family coming from the projects. It doesn't matter where you came from. If I didn't have my son and had another abortion, my son would obviously not be here and would have never served in the military. Um, I'm very proud of him. He just finished a 2-year course where he can now be like um, in some kind of, thing with being a youth pastor on top of being a teacher. He has affected hundreds of kids' lives, making them better as a teacher, working with underprivileged kids. He is an amazing guy. So, what right do I have as a mom to say, or a doctor to say, please abort this child. I don't want to be pregnant. Give me an abortion, right? What right do we have as mothers to say this, right? We don't have any right. And this is someone who has made a impact for the kingdom of God at a very young, very young age. Um, Last night my son came home who is being taught by a chef, and he had all these special cuts in the garnishes. I mean, a carrot that looked like a flower, strawberries that you could cut a certain way where they span out like a fan. Just amazing techniques he's learning, and he's going to be like the next Gordon Ramsay. I mean, he's a very good cook. He gets 100 on every single assignment he was showing me last night. 100, 100, 100, 100, like all the way down. And he's amazing. And then I have another son who is an amazing guy when it comes to music. He went to a concert the other night and he had a picture taken with one of the top guys of a very well-known band, and you know, he's connecting with him already on social media. So I have amazing sons. I have one right now who's traveling. I have one who his birthday is today, and I reached out to him. Um, if you don't have your kids, it's a huge loss to society, and we don't talk about that. So what I'm going to do today is I could do a million things, and I'm actually going to take some time off today. And I am going to be having videos about orphanages, history, basically what we are doing right now. I listened to George Tiller, and he said abortion isn't about killing babies. It is, but the main point, he said, is survival. Girls are in a place where they feel like they cannot manage without an abortion. And the reason why I was thinking about this is we are not that far from history, not at all, where kids were looked down upon big time. And that is the reason for abortion. We have not lifted mothers up enough. We have not emotionally lifted women up enough. So what we're dealing with is like from my mother's generation, and so she's about 75 now. Um, they never had any healing from the bad relationships with their mother, or they only had some. My mother did reach out. Strong woman asked for help. My mother did reach out to people around her and told her, told them the story. And she had mother figures to help her. But I was listening to Joan Crawford's daughter, Christina, and, we all used to watch Phil Donahue, right? So I'm watching that, and he goes, so your mother's last slap in the face from the grave was you were written out of the will along with your brother. And she goes, that's right. And she goes, so she got the last word. And he goes, but then you put a book out to kind of give her that last slap in the face in the grave. And so they were talking about this, and back in the day, like they could not talk about this stuff. You just couldn't. So Christina's like, well, she could have gotten counsel. Her bad childhood, Joan Collins' bad childhood, did not mean that I had to have an awful childhood. And she's like, she could have reached out like I did and got counseling. Well, you know what? Back in the day, nobody talked. Yes, Christina probably got counsel, as she talked about, for 2 or 3 years. But that counsel was not offered back in the day. And we can say, well, what did you do about it? Even 7, 8 years ago, let's say 9 years ago, women could not talk about abortion. So how in the world we are starting to talk about it now? I couldn't talk about abortion, and I didn't because it was pushed aside. I had a family to raise. I didn't have time to talk about that. I didn't have time to heal. I had children to take care of. How could they have talked? They couldn't, right? They couldn't have gone and gotten counsel. So she is really comparing her mother's situation to hers. Her mother's story is a part of her story, just like my mother's story is a part of my story. But to be so, I don't know. I watch Phil Donahue. I will dig into this, but my thoughts are her daughter was not very, I don't know, understanding maybe of her mother's culture and how her mother grew up. I'm not justifying anything, but also, on the other side, a woman stood up in the audience and she's like, why would you do this to your mother? Why would you write a book about her? And Phil Donahue is like, oh, so we should believe the lie that she put out of this image of being perfect. We should believe that. So, I think there were two different perspectives. Honestly, I think there was. I think Joan Collins had her perspective on certain things, and I think Christina had her perspective on different things. But yet there was some clear things that were not okay what Joan did. So as we look at that, Christina did get help. Her husband helped her through a lot. I think husbands are great to help women through stuff. My dad was there for my mom in ways, and my husband was there for me in many ways. So as we go forward and we look at abortion, a lot of the cause of abortion is the emotional junk. Is the emotional stuff that there has not been enough support, societal support for women emotionally with abortion, because we haven't been talking about it. We have, put it under the rug. When you do go to talk about it, I had talked in a group and someone said you couldn't have had a forced abortion unless you were like sex trafficked. And I said, excuse me, you didn't know my mother, did you? Okay, so I didn't say shut up, but basically you don't know what you're talking about. So that was, 2 years ago?